I want to talk to you today about something that for many of us might feel like a bit of a paradox, something that often gets misunderstood. It's about discipline. We hear the word and we often think of control, rules, restrictions. But what if I told you that discipline isn't about rigidity? What if I told you that discipline at its core is a practice of freedom? It's about the power we reclaim when we choose to show up for ourselves in the toughest moments. And it's about the strength we build when we commit to what truly matters, even when it's hard. Discipline is not about perfection. It's not about having every detail of our lives in order or always making the right choice. Discipline is about being consistent with our values, even when the world around us is pushing us to do something different. It's about honoring our commitments to ourselves, not because it's easy, but because we know it will create the space for the life we want to build. Discipline is often misunderstood as the pursuit of perfection, as though it's about controlling every aspect of our lives to ensure that everything is flawless. We live in a society that celebrates perfection, where images of idealized lives and behaviors are constantly put on display through social media, advertising, and cultural expectations. And the pressure to meet these standards can be overwhelming, and it often leads to burnout, self-doubt, and feelings of inadequacy. But the truth is, discipline is not about achieving perfection. Rather, it's about showing up for yourself, making intentional choices, and learning how to navigate the ups and downs of life in a way that aligns with your values. When we think about discipline, it's easy to focus on the areas where we feel we've fallen short or where we failed to meet an ideal. Maybe we didn't stick to our workout plan, or we didn't complete a project on time, or we made a mistake in a crucial moment. In these instances, it's tempting to believe that discipline failed us, that we somehow aren't capable of maintaining the consistency or control we need. But the reality is that true discipline isn't about avoiding mistakes or being flawless in every action. It's about how we respond when things don't go according to plan. Rather than being a demand for perfection, discipline is a practice of resilience and commitment. It's the ability to keep moving forward even when we don't feel like it or when the path becomes difficult. It's about showing up in the face of uncertainty, knowing that the effort, even when imperfect, will eventually add up to something meaningful. Perfectionism tells us that we are only valuable or worthy if we achieve a certain level of excellence. But discipline teaches us that our worth is inherent in our consistent efforts, in our willingness to keep trying even when the results don't meet our expectations. Discipline also involves accepting our flaws and imperfections. It's not about pushing ourselves to achieve a level of unattainable perfection, but about developing the ability to take care of ourselves, to honor our needs, and to stay committed to our values despite our mistakes. Discipline helps us recognize that we are human, that we will stumble, and that growth is a messy, nonlinear process. The important thing is not to give up when we face setbacks, but to get back on track with the understanding that each step, no matter how small, is progress. One of the most empowering aspects of discipline is that it allows us to embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but in reality, it's a powerful form of strength. It's the courage to show up even when we don't know exactly how things will turn out. It's the willingness to be imperfect, to try things without the guarantee of success, and to be okay with that. Discipline involves acknowledging that we are not always going to be in control and that we don't always have to get everything right. It's about trusting ourselves enough to keep moving forward, even in the face of uncertainty. Instead of seeing discipline as an unyielding demand for perfection, we can view it as a practice of self-compassion. It's about being patient with ourselves and understanding that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of success. We don't have to achieve everything all at once or in the way we imagined. What matters is the effort we put in and the commitment we maintain to continue trying, learning, and growing, even when the road is difficult. Discipline is also a way of creating space for what matters. It's easy to get distracted by external pressures, to compare ourselves to others, or to chase goals that are not aligned with our true desires. But discipline helps us focus on what is truly important to us, to stay committed to our long-term vision, and to make choices that support that vision. It's not about doing everything perfectly or pleasing everyone around us. It's about staying aligned with our values and consistently making choices that reflect who we want to be. When we practice discipline in this way, it becomes a source of freedom rather than restriction. It's not about being rigid or controlling every aspect of our lives. It's about creating the structure and habits that allow us to live more fully and authentically. We no longer have to chase perfection because we recognize that it is not the destination we're after, but the journey. The journey is where the growth happens, and it's in the effort, the persistence, and the willingness to keep going that we find our true power. In the end, discipline is not about being flawless. It's about staying committed to the process, showing up for ourselves when things get tough, and understanding that progress is more important than perfection. It's the quiet, consistent effort that leads to transformation. And it's the belief in ourselves that we can rise again, no matter how many times we fall. When we embrace discipline as a tool for growth and resilience rather than a demand for perfection, we give ourselves the freedom to fully engage in our own journey and to become the people we are meant to be. Discipline is often viewed through a lens of restriction, a rigid set of rules designed to control and limit our behavior. This perspective creates an image of discipline as something that confines us, demanding we adhere to strict guidelines in all aspects of life. But in reality, discipline is not about limiting our freedom. It's about creating the structure and habits that allow us to experience greater freedom in our lives. True discipline frees us from distractions, procrastination, and unhealthy patterns, enabling us to live with greater intention and purpose. When we think of discipline, we often think about limitations, following a diet, working out, sticking to a schedule, or saying no to temptations. These actions may seem restrictive on the surface, but they are actually powerful tools for liberation. By practicing discipline, we eliminate the need for constant decision making in moments of fatigue or temptation. When we build healthy habits, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional exhaustion of indecision. In essence, discipline creates a framework that allows us to live with more ease and clarity. Consider the way discipline applies to managing our time. Without discipline, time slips away from us in small increments, checking social media, overcommitting ourselves, or procrastinating. This lack of structure ultimately limits our freedom. We find ourselves scrambling to meet deadlines, stressed by last-minute tasks, and feeling overwhelmed by an ever-growing to-do list. But when we practice discipline, when we set boundaries around how we spend our time, we create the space to engage in the activities that truly matter to us. Discipline, in this sense, isn't limiting us, it's freeing us to focus on what we value most, whether that's personal growth, relationships, or pursuing a passion. Discipline also frees us from the constraints of fear and insecurity. Many people resist discipline because they fear failure or the discomfort of putting in consistent effort. We may think that choosing the disciplined path means sacrificing spontaneity or fun. But true discipline doesn't suppress joy or creativity, it cultivates it. When we commit to a practice or goal, we build confidence in our abilities. The structure discipline provides allows us to face challenges with greater resilience because we know that the effort we put in will pay off in the long run. Discipline gives us the emotional freedom to take risks and step outside of our comfort zones because we trust that we have the tools to handle whatever comes our way. Furthermore, discipline frees us from the tyranny of comparison and external expectations. In a world full of constant comparisons and judgments, we often feel pressured to measure up to others or to fit into predefined molds. We may compare our achievements to someone else's and feel inadequate because our journey looks different. Discipline, however, invites us to focus on our own path, on our own values, and on the progress we're making. When we practice discipline, we learn to quiet the noise of external validation and tune into our inner voice. We develop the clarity to define success on our own terms, unburdened by the weight of comparison. In terms of our relationships, discipline also creates the freedom to connect more deeply with others. It might sound counterintuitive, but discipline in relationships is essential for fostering trust and intimacy. Setting boundaries, being present, and honoring our commitments are all acts of discipline that create a foundation of trust. When we are disciplined about showing up for the people we care about, whether it's through small, consistent acts of kindness or simply being available when needed, we cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections. In this way, discipline doesn't limit the love we give, it enhances it by ensuring that we are there when we are needed most. Discipline also offers freedom in the realm of health and well being. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of instant gratification, seeking out quick fixes for our physical or emotional needs. But this often leaves us feeling empty or dissatisfied in the long run. Discipline, on the other hand, is a practice of delayed gratification. It encourages us to make choices that may not feel rewarding in the moment, but will lead to long term health, energy, and vitality. Whether it's sticking to a balanced diet, maintaining an exercise routine, or taking time for rest, discipline in these areas frees us from the constant cycle of poor choices and negative consequences. It empowers us to take control of our health and well being, which in turn gives us the energy and vitality to pursue our passions and dreams. In the world of work, discipline can be the key to achieving success without feeling overwhelmed or trapped. Many of us dream of career success or personal accomplishments, but without the disciplined effort to back up those dreams, they remain just that, dreams. Discipline enables us to take the necessary steps toward achieving those dreams, whether it's setting aside time each day to work on a project, learning new skills, or simply staying focused in the face of distraction. It's not about pushing ourselves to the brink of burnout or constantly hustling. It's about creating a balanced and sustainable approach to our work. In this way, discipline gives us the freedom to pursue meaningful goals without sacrificing our mental and emotional well being. Discipline is ultimately about choosing the kind of life we want to live. It is not a restriction on our freedom, but rather the foundation that allows us to experience the freedom to choose, the freedom to choose, the freedom to grow, and the freedom to live authentically. It's about making decisions that align with our values, building habits that support our well being, and creating the space to focus on what truly matters. Far from limiting us, discipline empowers us to live the kind of life that brings us joy, purpose, and fulfillment. It's through disciplined choices that we find the freedom to be our truest selves. Power often feels like something grand and sweeping, an elusive force that only a few seem to wield. We often look for it in moments of crisis, in the big breakthroughs, or in the moments when we achieve something extraordinary. But the true source of power doesn't lie in these rare moments of brilliance. The real power is in the small, consistent choices we make every single day. These choices, often invisible and unnoticed, shape the trajectory of our lives, our relationships, and our growth in ways that add up to far more than any single event. Each day, we are confronted with a series of decisions, many of them small and seemingly insignificant. Whether it's choosing to get out of bed on time, deciding to exercise instead of staying on the couch, or picking up a book rather than scrolling through social media, each choice matters. It's easy to dismiss these small decisions as inconsequential, thinking that they don't have any real impact on the big picture. But when viewed over time, these choices form the foundation of who we are and who we are becoming. The real power of these consistent choices lies in their ability to compound. Every positive decision we make builds on the one before it. When we choose to take care of our health by eating well or exercising, we're not just improving our physical state for one day, we're creating a pattern that supports our energy, mental clarity, and emotional well being over time. Similarly, when we commit to learning something new, even in small increments, we are consistently growing, expanding our knowledge, and preparing ourselves for opportunities that may not even exist yet. Each of these small decisions strengthens our resolve, builds our character, and amplifies our potential. The power in consistent choices also lies in their ability to create habits. Habits are the hidden forces that shape our lives, operating largely outside of our conscious awareness. We don't think about brushing our teeth, making our bed, or taking a walk. These actions have become automatic through repetition. The same principle applies to the way we choose to approach our work, relationships, and personal growth. Over time, the habits we cultivate through consistent choices create a rhythm and structure to our lives, making it easier to live in alignment with our values and goals. Instead of constantly battling distractions or motivation, our habits carry us forward, often without us even noticing. One of the most powerful aspects of consistent choices is their ability to build momentum. When we start making positive choices, it can feel like a slow and gradual process, but the more we stick with them, the more we gain momentum. Momentum is the force that propels us to continue even when challenges arise or when we don't feel like it. Just like a snowball gathering speed as it rolls down a hill, the momentum created by consistent action can lead to exponential growth. The more we invest in making the right choices, the easier it becomes to keep making them, creating a positive cycle of progress. Another aspect of the power found in consistent choices is their cumulative effect on our self esteem and self trust. Every time we make a decision that aligns with our values and goals, we reinforce our belief in our ability to make good choices. Over time, these small victories build our confidence and we start to trust ourselves more. This trust becomes a powerful tool in our lives because it strengthens our ability to take on bigger challenges, face fears, and make decisions that reflect our true desires. When we consistently choose actions that honor our values, we become more certain of our path, more resilient in the face of adversity, and more aligned with who we are. Consistency in our choices also builds character. Character isn't formed in a moment of heroism, it's shaped by the small, everyday decisions that reflect our core beliefs. It's choosing honesty when it's easier to lie, choosing kindness when it's easier to be indifferent, and choosing patience when it's easier to react impulsively. The power in these choices lies in their ability to shape our inner world, to cultivate virtues like integrity, compassion, and perseverance. As we continue to make these choices, we build a reputation for being someone who follows through, someone who is trustworthy, and someone who can be relied upon. This consistent behavior creates a magnetic energy that attracts others who share similar values and who appreciate the consistency of our character. Over time, the consistent choices we make also serve as a reflection of our priorities. The way we choose to spend our time, energy, and resources reveals what matters most to us. If we consistently choose to invest in our relationships, our health, and our personal growth, it sends a clear message about our values. These choices reflect our commitment to living a life of purpose, to focusing on what is truly important, and to making decisions that align with our deepest aspirations. The power of these choices is that they are a direct expression of who we are and what we stand for. The true power of consistent choices is that they are within our control. While we can't always control the external circumstances of our lives, we always have the ability to choose how we respond. In moments of stress, uncertainty, or adversity, we can choose to take a deep breath, to act with integrity, and to make decisions that align with our values. These small choices, how we respond, how we move forward, become the defining factors that determine the course of our lives. In essence, power is not a result of grand gestures or extraordinary moments. It lies in the everyday decisions we make, the consistent actions we take that align with who we want to become. When we focus on making small, positive choices, we begin to build the foundation of a life that reflects our values, strengthens our character, and empowers us to move toward our true potential. Discipline is often seen as a tool for maintaining control and structure, a way to get things done or adhere to routines. But discipline's true power lies in its ability to catalyze personal transformation. It's not just about enforcing rules or sticking to a schedule. It's about shaping who we are at the core, molding our mindset, and guiding us toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. Discipline is a process of consistent action that stretches us, challenges us, and encourages growth in ways that we may not immediately recognize, but that leave lasting, profound impacts. At its essence, discipline is the practice of making intentional choices, of showing up even when it's hard, and of staying committed to long-term goals. These small, everyday acts of discipline add up over time, influencing not just the way we live, but the person we become. It's easy to think that transformation comes from monumental shifts or sudden breakthroughs, but real lasting change is often a result of consistent effort, patience, and dedication. The power of discipline lies in its ability to shift our behaviors and over time reshape our character. When we start practicing discipline in our lives, whether it's in our health, our work, or our personal development, we begin to notice subtle changes. In the beginning, the process can feel slow, and the results might not be immediately visible. But over time, as we continue to show up for ourselves, as we consistently make choices that align with our values and goals, we start to see the transformation unfold. This gradual shift doesn't just affect our actions, it alters how we think about ourselves and the world around us. For example, consider someone who decides to commit to a fitness routine. At first, it might be difficult waking up early to exercise, or finding the motivation to stick with the plan might feel like an uphill battle. But as discipline takes hold, the habit becomes ingrained. This is where transformation begins. It's not just about getting fit. It's about shifting from a mindset of I can't do this to I am someone who shows up for myself. The discipline of committing to a fitness routine doesn't just change physical appearance, it changes the way we see ourselves, reinforcing the belief that we are capable of taking control and making positive changes in our lives. Discipline doesn't only transform us through its immediate effects, it's also a tool for overcoming resistance and pushing through discomfort. Personal transformation often requires confronting things we'd rather avoid, old habits, limiting beliefs, or fears. Discipline teaches us how to lean into discomfort, how to push past the resistance that arises when we try to make meaningful changes. Whether it's the inner voice telling us we're not good enough or the physical discomfort that comes with a challenging workout or a difficult project, discipline teaches us how to stay in the game, even when it's hard. Through discipline, we learn resilience, the ability to keep going despite setbacks and challenges. Transformation doesn't happen in a straight line. It's often a messy, nonlinear process filled with bumps along the way. But discipline teaches us to persevere, to keep moving forward, even when things aren't going according to plan. It allows us to get back up after failure and keep working toward our goals. This is where true transformation occurs, in the moments when we feel like quitting but choose to keep going, when we feel the weight of our discomfort and decide to push through it anyway. Every act of discipline becomes a vote for the person we want to become, a building block of strength, resilience, and personal growth. As we continue to practice discipline, it begins to shape our identity. We no longer see ourselves as people who just try or wish for change. We start to see ourselves as disciplined individuals who can create the life they desire through consistent action. This shift in self-perception is one of the most powerful aspects of personal transformation. We stop viewing ourselves as passive recipients of circumstances and start seeing ourselves as active creators of our reality. This transformation is not just about external outcomes, but about internal growth, about becoming someone who believes in their own ability to create change and who trusts themselves to follow through on their commitments. Discipline also leads to greater self-awareness. When we commit to a course of action, we are forced to confront our habits, our patterns, and our values. In the process of practicing discipline, we gain insight into what truly matters to us, what motivates us, and where we need to grow. It brings to light areas of our lives that we might have overlooked or ignored. For example, committing to a regular practice of mindfulness or meditation might reveal areas where we are holding on to stress or negative emotions. Similarly, working on personal projects might uncover limiting beliefs or fears we hadn't noticed before. Discipline helps us reflect, adjust, and refine our approach, leading to deeper personal growth and awareness. Through consistent discipline, we also build a stronger relationship with ourselves. We learn to trust ourselves more deeply because we see that we are capable of following through. This trust is transformative in itself. It allows us to make bolder decisions, to take risks, and to step outside of our comfort zones. When we know that we can depend on ourselves, that we can rely on our discipline to guide us through challenges, we feel more empowered to take on the world. The true transformation that discipline offers is often quiet and incremental. It happens slowly, sometimes without fanfare, but the results are profound. By practicing discipline, we are not just changing our habits, we are transforming the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we live. It's the key to becoming the person we've always known we could be, a person who is resilient, capable, and deeply aligned with their values and goals. Through consistent action and the commitment to keep showing up, discipline guides us toward the kind of transformation that doesn't just improve our lives, it reshapes them entirely.